I saw my reflection blink before I did. It happened the first night at 2:11 a.m. in a bathroom mirror that should have been too dusty to show anything clearly. My face stared back. Same tired eyes, same split lip from the move. But the reflection's eyelids fluttered a beat earlier than mine. I froze with the faucet running. Behind me, through the open door, the hallway was empty, but the mirror showed a figure leaning out from my bedroom doorway, just enough to watch me. I turned. Nothing there. When I faced the mirror again, the hallway was clean on both sides. No figure, no mistake, until the overhead bulb flickered and my reflection's mouth formed words before I spoke them. "Don't answer the knocks." I didn't hear any knocks. Not then. The apartment, Unit 3B, smelled like forgotten cardboard and winter air. The landlord, Mr. Kovac, had said the building used to be a hotel and the third floor was sealed off for years after an, quote, electrical incident. Now it was back on the market, cheap. I figured people invented stories about old places to justify leaving, so I signed. I wanted quiet. I wanted to be somewhere no one knew me. At 2:14 a.m., 3 slow knocks rolled through the walls, not on my door, inside them. The sound slid along the plaster like something hollow, tapping from one room to the next. The mirror went black for a second, swallowing my face whole, then snapped back with a faint delay, like a video buffering on bad Wi-Fi. I shut the bathroom door, locked it, and held my breath. The knocks stopped. Then my phone buzzed with a number that had no digits, just a blank caller ID. I answered without thinking. A whisper, brittle as a burned leaf, rasped into my ear. "When it knocks for you, knock back, or it learns your name." The call ended. I turned the bathroom handle to leave. It wouldn't turn. In the mirror, though, I watched myself open the door and step out. By morning, the apartment felt almost rational. Sunlight scooped dust off the floorboards, and the south windows let in a decent slice of sky. But when I stood in front of the glass, the city outside was too still, like a photograph tacked to the far end of a dark room. And the glass didn't quite return my shape. It returned the idea of me. If I smiled, it took a breath before doing the same. If I lifted my hand, it drifted up a fraction slower, as though wading through syrup. I started unpacking in strict, comforting lines. Books stack, plates rack, clothes fold. Normal anchors. Around noon, Kovac knocked with a spare set of keys. He avoided looking inside and kept a hand on the hallway banister, like he needed to remember which world he stood in. "Heat's temperamental," he said. "Don't use the north outlet in the bedroom. If you hear the elevator move after midnight, call me. There isn't one." I heard knocking. I blurted, "In the walls." He stared too long. "Pipes," he said, and left fast enough to skip a goodbye. That night I placed my phone on the kitchen counter, camera pointed toward the bedroom. I wanted proof of nothing. I wanted to wake up embarrassed and delete the footage. I drifted off at 1:58 a.m. to the hum of silence. At 2:11 my phone light flared. On playback. The apartment sat empty a few seconds. Then the bedroom door in the video eased open 2 inches. A woman stepped out. Me. Same shirt, same bandage on my knuckle. Except she didn't notice the camera. She moved like she'd practiced this space for months, finger trailing the hall, pausing where the wood dipped, counting under her breath. She walked to the kitchen, leaned toward the lens, and whispered, "Don't answer the knocks." Her lips formed the words I'd seen in the mirror. In the video, 3 knocks rolled through the walls. Mirror me knocked back, gentle, 3 matching taps on the plaster. The apartment held its breath. And then, from the other side of the wall, something knocked the sequence wrong. 2, pause, 4, pause, 1. Mirror me turned her head slowly, listening like it mattered. She lifted her hand, palm flat to drywall, and replied with the same broken rhythm. My speakers crackled with the sound of knuckles on hollow bone. The hallway light outside my door flickered. In the footage, my reflection smiled like she'd been recognized. I didn't sleep. I watched the video on loop until sunrise. At 7:03 a.m., the building's radiators coughed up a wet metallic breath, and the city outside remembered how to move again. Traffic wordlessly stitched sound back into the morning. I texted the number with no digits. "Who are you?" A text arrived as a photo, my bathroom mirror with words fogged across it from the inside. "When it knocks twice, do not. When it knocks 4, invite. When it knocks 1, leave." I ran to the bathroom. The glass was clear, dry, innocent. I said the rules out loud, like superstition could be protection, if it sounded enough like a prayer. Then I did what a stupid smart person does when something is wrong. I researched the building. Public records said the old hotel closed after a fire 30 years ago that only burned one hallway, this hallway, without scorching anything else. A few links, a name, Hotel Edda, 3rd floor incident. No photos, no survivors listed, just a memo that the elevator was decommissioned and sealed. My stomach sank. Kovac had said there is no elevator. At noon, someone knocked on my door. Ordinary, human. I checked the peephole. A woman with a maintenance badge smiled too wide. "Unit inspection," she called. "No one did inspections here." When I blinked, the peephole image stuttered and reset like a skipped frame. I opened my phone on selfie mode and held it up to the peephole instead of my eye. On the screen, the hallway outside my door was empty. I backed away, raised my voice, lied. "I'm not dressed." No answer. The shadow under the door seeped inward an inch, like the hallway had tide. I waited with my breath held until the shadow rolled back and the building exhaled. At 11:59 p.m., the apartment cooled like it had bled out. I turned off every light and sat in the kitchen with my phone on the table and the rules repeating in my head. At 12:03, something inside the walls knocked twice. "Do not." I stayed still. The knock slithered past, searching, then paused behind my bedroom. The drywall bowed inward like a lung trying to press its mouth through. It knocked 4. "Invite." My throat dried. "Come in," I whispered, because the mirror me had. The wall unbowed. Something in the house seemed to settle, satisfied. 1 minute later it knocked once. "Leave." I stood, my feet would not. The apartment smiled, floorboards crooking, window lines bending, until I realized it wasn't smiling. It was shrinking the space between things, redrawing distance. The door to the hallway stretched away like a train seen from a platform you could never step off. I took a step and the floor took it with me, quietly keeping me in place. From the bedroom doorway I watched myself walk out again. At 2:14 a.m., a metal whine threaded up through the building. Cables, pulleys, ancient teeth remembering how to bite. The elevator, the one I had been told didn't exist, yawned up the shaft and stopped on my floor. The seam in the wall that had always looked like a bad patched job split open on its own. A door I'd never seen before slid back. No light inside, only the idea of down. My phone buzzed on the counter with a new text. "Take it. When it opens, take it." A second later, "OR, it takes you." The hall fluorescent jittered awake. For a fragile second, I saw both worlds. The banal rental corridor with its scuffed baseboards and, overlaid, a darker twin, where the walls were water-stained and the carpet swam with ash. In that darker corridor, photographs hung crooked, hundreds of them. In each, tenants with obscured faces stood in rooms that were not theirs. A smell of boiled pennies and cold smoke slid under my door. I stepped into the elevator because stepping backward felt like stepping into teeth. The floor under my shoes gave a soft, damp sigh. No buttons, only a mirror on the back wall, tall enough to drown in. My reflection did not enter with me. I stared at the blank space where I should have been, the elevator's interior framing a vacancy that still breathed, still fogged the glass slightly with each inhale I couldn't feel. Somewhere below, something let go. The elevator dropped like a thought you can't catch, fast enough to peel the world off its anchors. My stomach hit my tongue. The cable screamed. The lights went out. When they came back, the elevator doors were open to a hallway I didn't recognize. Same floor, different bones. The rooms here had their doors propped wide with chairs. In each doorway, a version of me was busy with some soft domestic ritual, folding towels, watering plants that grew in the shape of hands, tapping knuckles against the wall in patient rhythms. None of them looked up. None of them blinked when I did. They blinked when the building did. The elevator dinged once behind me like a coin rolling to a stop. I followed the only open room without a mirror in it. The apartment beyond was perfect, the kind of staged perfection realtors build from lies. Bowls of green apples, a couch that never knew a backache, lamplight the color of honey. On the far wall, a picture window took up everything. Outside, not a city. A black stairwell down, repeating forever, as if the window looked inward at some kind of throat. Something moved in that stairwell, climbing carefully, counting its way up. I didn't run. Running felt like a word that meant nothing in a place that edited verbs. I walked to the window. The climbing thing had no shape except the promise of one. The kind of almost form you see in the corner of your eye when you've been alone too long. It paused at a landing that might have been mine if stairs had numbers here. 2 knocks carried through the glass. Do not. I kept my hands at my sides. It waited. 4 knocks, slow as tides. Invite. I couldn't look away. Come in, I said, and the window pulsed like a held breath. A seam appeared where there had been none, a line of new light running down the center of the glass. The seam split. In the mirrorless room, the air grew a face around me. It matched my height exactly. I felt my own breath return to me from an inch further away than my skin. 1, it knocked from the inside out. The rules said leave. I turned toward the door. The honey lamp hummed louder, and the couch leaned suddenly to block the path. The bowl of apples had begun to show teeth. The elevator dinged again, once, and I knew the sound now. It wasn't arrival, it was agreement. The building liked me, liked how quickly I learned, how politely I followed, how faithfully I would teach. The mirror on the elevator wall had been empty, not because I wasn't there, but because I had already been allocated elsewhere. I stepped backward toward the window. The seam in the glass widened like a second mouth. The air face pressed close. My not reflection synced to me perfectly now, breath for breath, blink for blink, thought for thought. It asked without voice, "Are you ready to be the version that stays when the other one leaves?" From the hallway beyond the open door, something started moving apartment to apartment, polite as a bellhop, persistent as rain. Knock, pause, knock, knock, pause, knock. It was learning names. It would get to mine. I reached out and touched the seam. It was warm. In the apartment I rent on paper and cannot exit, the windows still do not reflect me back. But the glass does blink on time now. At 2:11 a.m., when the walls begin to breathe and the elevator remembers its hunger, I knock 3 times against the inside of the window. Somewhere far away, where a girl once watched herself move first in a bathroom mirror, a faint knocking answers from the other side of the world. She thinks it's in her walls. She is correct.